What's up, guys? The market is back. We're getting our halt, resume, washout longs back, and that means your boy Big Money Madaz is now back. Stay tuned. Alright, guys, finally, after what, 2-3 months, I mean, the market has been so slow, and you guys probably hear me whine about it way too many times on Twitter and whatnot, but let's be honest, the volume has not been up to par, even on some of the recent runners like ZSAN, NETE, INNT, and some of these recent stocks have been moving pretty nicely, so we got some good range, but the volume has not been there. We've been getting some solid action, but no crazy washouts, no good dip opportunities to get in. You have to kind of take a gamble and chase the move here and there, and that's not exactly what I like. You want to have liquidity, you want to be able to fill some size, and today RKDA finally totally brings a tear to my eye to see this kind of action today, that we finally get a stock that has good range, good volatility, at the same time great volume and awesome liquidity for us to get in and out, not have to worry about fills, slippage, or anything like that. RKDA definitely ranks as one of the best stocks, at least in recent memory, for sure. It's no elfin yet. It still has tomorrow. It has a lot of promise for tomorrow. Don't get me wrong. But definitely has a lot of potential. But today's action alone, great opportunities. As you can see, finished the day up 20 grand off small positions, really. Did 2,500 shares one time, another time where I did 1,500 shares, but the majority of my trades were around 500 shares, the occasional 1,000 shares here and there, some 250 shares. You'll see in the live trading footage of this video that I did a lot of minor scalps, 250 share scalps, 500 share scalps, that I'll show you guys as well, that I'm padding the wallet essentially. Most of my trades are actually very small, aside from the big trade here that I'll show in the video as well in the beginning of the video. 2,500 shares where I make a quick 9-10 grand. The remaining amount of money was made off small positions, 500 shares, guys. So I essentially made $10,000 of my $20,000 in profits on RKDA off of just using 500 shares. Maybe once in a while 1,000 shares. Mostly it was 500 shares, sometimes as low as 250 shares. These things add up, guys. 250 shares, you catch a $2 move, $3 move, that's 500, 750 bucks. Definitely in a stock like this, there are multiple opportunities to get in and just scalp that move over and over again. Just wait for the wash. Don't FOMO. Don't take a gamble. Don't get dumped on. Wait for the dip. The thing about RKDA today and why I loved it so much was that it followed support and resistance to a T. If you watch this thing, every single time, you got this, every single time it broke out, you got the dip right here. It's wick on this candle, holding this support level around 37. And even on this grind down right here, it held this 35 level. And I tweeted about this multiple times on Twitter. It hit 34, but essentially it held this 35 level. Where I get that's 35 from 35 was right here. You can see these couple wicks on the move up right here. That's where 35 came from. And then once 35 broke, and once it broke over 40, and then once it broke over the high day 48, this thing was a dip buy against all of these prior support levels. Dip buy here, even a dip buy against 50. But then toward the end of the day, it gets kind of risky. It usually dips a lot more than you think. So I decided to scalp it against the second support level, which has happened the prior high of day from the morning, 48. A couple more scalps before kind of just, letting it do its thing for the rest of the day, because I don't want to get caught in some random, market maker nonsense that I always talk about at the end of the day. But overall, this thing, as you can see from all these wicks and all these red candles, it provided some great opportunity. It followed support and resistance very well. The liquidity was there. This thing traded like 13 million shares. And if you look at VWAP, this thing is essentially, traded above $37, $40. Let's pick an easy number, $40. 13 million shares. This thing traded basically $500 million in volume. And if you compare that to, say, ZSAN, even on the best day of ZSAN, 14 million shares. I mean, the price is half as much. I mean, it's traded half the volume. So you can kind of see, you can kind of compare the two stocks and how much money is being thrown at it. Right, the same amount of shares at half the price versus the same amount of share volume at double the price. You got double the dollar volume, so that means there's twice as much money being thrown at RKDA as a stock like ZSAN. So the liquidity is twice as good, and that's why I've been able to take advantage of it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the footage. This video is going to talk about the washout, halt, resume, washout long against 40. Unfortunately, I didn't capture the one against 30, but you can kind of see why 30 was a nice washout long off of this halt resume. 30 was the wick right here. If you only looked at this chart, this part of the chart, you see the wick right there against 28, 30-ish. It dipped right there and then ripped back up. I did get a partial fill on this, 1,000 shares, so it made about $3,100. But the washout long against 40 was right here. So once this thing made more and more high of days, so up to this point, you can kind of see that right here. If you only knew this part of the chart, let's go ahead and just block this out. If you only knew this part of the chart, 40 was a high of day, and then you see the next candle right there. It ripped to new highs. Boom, dip right there to 40, and it spiked back up. So definitely a great opportunity for this thing. And once this thing started going sideways, you can kind of scalp a couple of these big candles. And once the grind started on the low volume, you kind of leave it alone. And then once things started to pick back up again, all the shorts that thought they had it easy squeezed back up. So this thing was a absolute scalping machine the entire day. So let's go ahead and jump into this video. 40 halt, resume, washout long with a couple bonus 250 share, 500 share scalps for you guys to see, give you guys a taste of more or less what I've been doing for the majority of the day and how things added up to $20,000. So let's go ahead and jump to the video. All right, guys. So as you can see, let's go ahead. That's a little bit too quick, but as you can see, this is the for 39.6666 is where you see that resistance line or support line, prior resistance acting as support. That I have drawn. So I'm essentially looking for a washout toward $40, give or take. I don't expect to get filled at 39. If you look at the tape really quick, this is very, very, very quick. So if you take a quick glance, you'll see a quick stall. The thing will try to wash. I'll have to slow it down so you guys can actually see it. But you can kind of see the 42 bids here drop off for a split second. This is at half speed. You see there, boom, 40s on the bid. And then I hit 41. So you might want to pause it, watch it a couple of times there. I did try to half speed it for you guys so you guys can see what exactly happened. But you can see right there that the bids are at 42. They kind of pulled the bids for a split second. The stock dropped down to the 40s. And essentially you saw that quick stall and then the spring back up. The 41s are now back. Again, it's always about watching the market makers and seeing, are they supporting the bid? Are they just stacking up the ask? You saw them support the 42. They kind of pull it for a little bit. They drop it to 40. Remember, keeping in mind that 40 is support from the prior high of day, prior resistance acting as new support. Now you see the bids jumping back and defending 41s. So that's why I jumped in at 41. So let's go ahead and forward this back a little bit. And you see right away it's back at 42. I'm already up 40, a pretty good amount of money already. So you'll see this thing bounce all the way up to 44, and I think that's pretty much where I sell it. And I'll explain in a second why I sell it at 44. All right, so I sold it, locking in pretty good gain there. I think about a little bit over $8,000 in just a matter of seconds. And the crazy part about this is, you got that huge move, of pretty much essentially a 3.5 point move in a matter of seconds. And this is why I love these higher price, low float stocks, is that when they have volume, even though the spread is wide, the liquidity is there such that you'll actually get filled. So I don't really have any qualms about this big spread on a stock like RKDA when it's trading big volume like today. Unlike ZSAN, where I did have a problem because the volume was so low, you couldn't get filled at all. So you would have to hit closer to the offer or sell closer to the bid. In this case, RKDA, no problems today, all day. And you get the big move on top of that, 3.5 points. It was possible to get filled 2,500 shares, essentially $100,000 worth of shares filled like butter, no problem. So the reason why I sold it at 44 is because obviously the circuit breaker rules. The same reason why I sold too early on my DCIX video and also my Elfin video. If you guys haven't checked those two videos out, there should be a link in the top right corner. But for this video as well, RKDA, same thing. Sold it for about, give or take, about a little bit less than $4 because that's about the 10% mark. I don't want to get stuck in a circuit breaker just in case something happens and it ends up halting for an hour, and you know, you never know what can happen. You're at the mercy of the market at that point. It could gap down, and we've seen some of these stocks that look like they should be gapping up and then end up gapping down. So I don't want to get stuck at that 2,500 shares. I don't want it to gap down like $5. I mean, and I lose like 12 grand or something like that. You know, so I just took the safe bet. This thing does end up going higher. I knew it was going to go higher. Obviously, it's making new highs. Shorts are screwed, but just got to protect myself, take the quick money, and I'm going to be doing some smaller scalps after this, and you'll see in the video. So essentially, I'm just looking for mini washes at this point, watching for dips against prior higher days. Ideally, a wash against 40 would be nice, but you'll see me do like a couple 500 shares, 250 share scalps here. Basically, you know, the more highs this thing makes, the more bounce room it has, so to speak, against the prior day's highs, acting as new support. So I'm looking for dips against the prior highs, which was like 42. Better it off is at 40, but you know, whatever. Small size, not a big deal. Give me some room to add scale in just in case it dumps more than I think. But yeah, this is a pretty nice move here. Its stock's already up to 46. You see that 46 print there. So again, I have no regrets about selling it too early, just in case it decides to halt again. 10% is the circuit breaker. It triggers a circuit breaker. I don't know why I didn't do it this time, but whatever. Just gotta play it safe. Just wait for a next dip. There's always another chance to get in. Today was all about just taking the profits, getting back in, doing it over and over again, repeat and rinse, and it adds up. Eventually, like I said, I end up with $20,000 in profits on a day. Doing more than half of the trades was more than half of the profits of the trades on RKDA came from small size trades. So just keep an eye on the next dip here. Next dip should be down to 44 or 40, something like that. I'm not so sure where I got in. You'll see in a second. But just mini scalps, just taking the quick, you know, instantaneous $1 per share pop. 500 shares, that's $500, you know. Add liquidity, you get the ECN rebates on top of that. Today I end up with negative ECN rebates again. Liquidity was great. Here's a little dip. Let's see, we get a little bit of a bigger dip. 47s. See, I actually like to see this thing go further, so that way we actually have bounce room. There we go, nice dip, get in, boom. 42s. Washout, little bit of a washout long scalp here. The trademark textbook washout long scalp out. Boom, another $500 in the bank. Doing this all day long, guys. I know this is just a little excerpt of a little short excerpt of the day, but more or less just been doing this all day long. 500 shares, just waiting for a big dip, just getting in, getting out, bang, bang, bang. $1 per share. Sometimes, occasionally, I get a quick $2, $3 per share. That's pretty nice if you can get in 500 shares, get a quick $2 per share. That's $1,000. 250 shares, even if you're not comfortable. 100 shares, guys. 100 shares, get a quick buck. That's $100. So, for a lot of you guys out there saying, you're throwing big money around, not necessarily, guys. If you're not sure about it, just do small size, get the hang of it. You'll get more confidence to do it next time. Okay, scale in. I'm not exactly doing, 10,000, 20,000 shares on these things either. That's suicidal. I'm just doing the small size scalps here. On the washout, halt, resume, washout longs, that usually results in more panic, more people heading to the exits, more, imbalance, heavier imbalance in one direction or another. So for those, you can go in a little bit more, because those are kind of like, I've explained before in my halt, resume, washout long videos, they're kind of like the opening bell again, but they just happen to take place intraday. So everyone's kind of like glued to the screen watching the same stock, just having their finger on the trigger, just jumping in, just people that are freaking at shorts that have to cover, they're just slamming the offer, or like sellers that want to take profits, they hit the bid. That results in a big drop or a big spike. But for these little midday, non-halt resume washout longs, there's still a possibility it could dump more. So you just got to be a little bit more safe. Hence why I'm doing 500 shares on these instead of 2,500 shares on the halt resume washout longs. But as you can see right now, I did mention on Twitter that 48 to 50 was a huge resistance that would be coming into play, and it is coming into play right now. That's why it's kind of having a tough time breaking $50. But more or less, the opportunities were there. I mean, if you got in on that halt resume washout long at 41 where I got in, maybe you got in with 100 shares and you don't mind, possibly getting stuck in a circuit breaker halt and getting a gap down or something like that, you could have held it for $8 per share. I mean, you could have made $800 off 100 shares. I mean, that's pretty sweet. 20% gain in, what was that, 10 minutes. So, pretty awesome stuff here. So again, that 48 resistance coming into play, just letting it do its thing right now. At this point, obviously, we don't have the benefit of hindsight, and we can't foresee the future, and we don't know that this thing is obviously going to end up at $55 at the end of the day, which it end up doing. But, it looks a little bit toppy. You can see that red volume larger than the green volume for the first time in a while, I believe. So right now, at this point, I'm just waiting for a bigger washout, maybe back down to that 42 area again, maybe that 40 area. Just giving it a chance to just do its thing, sitting on my hands. I'm already up big on the day. No need to push buttons and just piss away profits needlessly, like I always say. We are technically in the lull hour, so this is the first day the market has actually given us a play that's been viable and tradable, I guess you can kind of say, during the lull. And it's tough to give the market that has not been giving us the benefit of doubt. So I'm not really just putting, all of my eggs in one basket here. I'm just watching the stock, just seeing how it behaves and just reacting. I'm not assuming anything, just giving it a chance to do its thing. Fast forward a little bit. So it's still defending that that 42-ish level where it just washed out to on the previous candle. Again, that 48 resistance proving to be a little bit difficult for this stock. And mind you, the stock's obviously up from $18. It's up, pretty big on the day. It's beyond what you would call overextended. And it's hitting a big resistance at 48. So it's no surprise that it needs a little bit of consolidation. It needs to pull back a little bit and trap some shorts. But still, I'm looking for dips. Get in, small size. I think I'll make another trade at some point here. But give or take, there's still lots of opportunity on this. Even if this thing were to tank, it would still bounce just by the sheer amount of shorts that are stuck from this thing. Here we go, back down to that support area. Yeah, so I take a quick trade here. 250 shares, nothing too crazy. Just scalping the dips. 250 shares downsizing just because that 48 level could end up being the top, so I don't want to be caught longing too much size on a potential backside. Just took the quick scalp there, a couple bucks, and that little quick bounce. Again, guys, just doing the same thing over and over again. to you. It looks a little bit more toppy, as you can see. 41's now on deck. 40s, I think I do take another trade here. Do I get filled? No, I don't get filled. Nope, don't get filled this time, unfortunately. 40, obviously the level I wanted to watch. Would have been a nice couple bucks per share there. So I did miss out on that particular trade, but you can kind of see if you slowed that segment of the video down, you'll see the same exact action. The stock kind of just pulled the bids a little bit, skipped down to the 40 level, key support, and then the bids kind of came back and saved it. So same type of action. If you can kind of just tape read it, it's pretty obvious. Like I said, this stock followed support and resistance very, very well. So no surprise, it washed out the 40, defended it, popped back up. You could have taken that quick sell. If you got filled in at 39, that would have been great. You would have had more than 2 points in a matter of seconds. So again, at this point in time, somebody can look at RKDA and say this is possibly the start of backside. It is looking weak. We got 3 out of the last 4 candles, and now the fourth out of 4 out of the last 5 candles. It was briefly red. You can kind of see it's a little bit red right now, but it's still defending that 40 support level. So it's still, in the big picture, definitely a bullish chart. Shorts are definitely caught on this thing, no doubt. But somebody might look at this and be like, okay, this is potential backside. So as a person who sees this as a long bias chart, I'm just downsizing, as you can see, just to protect myself, only going in bigger size, maybe in a bigger washout, maybe if it drops like 35 or something like that. But you just gotta downsize, protect yourself, protect your profits. I'm up big on the day. There's no need to go in big. At the same time, you gotta understand that if the shorts are starting to think this is backside, they're gonna start slamming the bids, and when they start slamming the bids, that could fuel the next squeeze, which it did and pretty much end up happening. So that's the thing. You got a short trap. You got more people thinking that it's gonna be a short. You're gonna have more fuel to the fire. It's gonna be a bigger move. And later on, we end up seeing that it ends up going to 55. But at the same time, like I said, you gotta be wary. You gotta see both sides of the trade. You see, it's dipping. It's getting a little bit weaker here. So I'm in a couple shares on this little dip. Again, just trying to get in and out really quick. See when we get a little quick bounce. Not sure if this is the last trade I took. Yeah, it might be. But overall, a little bit of a downside here. See if I add to this. 250 shares, though, nothing too crazy. But you can see this thing is a little bit weak. 4 out of the last 5 candles, red. But like I said, RKDA at this point, it's up huge. It needs to consolidate. It needs to trap more shorts. And that's exactly what it's doing. All right, end up selling it. So I believe that's the last trade. Yep, I believe so. So that's pretty much all I had. As you can see, nothing too crazy after the first trade where I made the quick 8,000 some odd dollars, quick couple of scalps, ended up adding another, what is that, like 1,700 bucks, something like that, to my profits off of just 500 shares, and several of those were only 250 share scalps, guys. So just to illustrate to you guys how I operate, the halt, resume, washout longs are the big ones because those are always going to get people that panic. They don't know what to think. The longer the halt, the more people are going to freak out. The 30 halt, I believe, was of the 10-minute variety, but I think the 40 halt was only 5-minute. But usually what happens is people start to bum rush it, and that causes massive moves in like one direction. With respect to the dips, all you have to do is just wait for the wicks, wait for the drop, look for support, don't FOMO, don't gamble, don't get dumped on, then just wait for the instantaneous bounce, take the quick profits, and just keep doing that, repeat and rinse over and over and over again. You end up having, like what I had today, a pretty damn good day. So Hope you guys found this video helpful. Hopefully I can make more videos for you guys. I love making videos, but unfortunately the market was just been so shitty for like 3 months straight. There's literally been no videos, nothing to make a video about. Finally, we have a video, so hopefully I can get some more going for you guys, some more awesome content, free, live, awesome content. These videos will always be free, no bullshit DVDs, no bullshit chat rooms, nothing like that. Just free, awesome content on YouTube for you guys. So remember to share, like, subscribe, comment below, and I'll see you guys next time.